is right. Kamala Harris recently was kind of boasting about how her father had a history of slave ownership in Jamaica. That's very good. So that's it. We're going to end the news roundup right here. We're going to go to break. When we come back, we'll have more to talk about, a little deeper. And then in the final segment, we'll lighten it up with some fun stuff.
Don't move a muscle. The John Lebang Show. Be right back.
With lots of fun and excitement. Yes! Are you in need of commercial or residential window cleaning? Do you need your office cleaned? Maybe custodial work? How about some gutter cleaning? If you do, then call Pane and the Glass. For a beautiful shine that's crystal clear, call Pane and the Glass. You can find them on Facebook at Pane and the Glass.
Hey, man, it's at the bottom of the hour, man. Do you know where your kids are, man?
If you want to contact the John Lebang Show, feel free to send an email to jlebang@live.com. And if you're on Twitter, look him up at John Lebang. And don't forget to go to his Facebook page at The John Lebang Show. Banger. Now here's John.
So if you don't mind, I'd like to change course a little bit. I've been hinting at this throughout the hour. I want to talk about parenting, and some people, and rightfully so, are going to say, John, you're not a parent. You don't have the understanding of a parent. You've never had to deal with the rigors of being a parent at all. And I would humbly agree, yeah, I haven't been a parent. I've been an uncle, but I've not been able to, for many reasons, and one of it was financial, become a parent. So I'm going to understand the criticism, and I hopefully parents that are out there, and hopefully that the any new listeners that may be becoming parents in the future will take this as constructive criticism instead of indictments on their personal parenting, because a lot of times you'll talk about a certain subject and people will take it personally because the arrow just happens to hit them somewhere, and then they react and lash out at you. And you're not trying to, or at least I'm not trying to in this exercise, trying to indict anybody on their parenting or saying that I know better than them. But I'm looking at our society and where it's heading and how things are developing. And the only thing I can think of is how we're going to better this world, because I'm not a fan of what the human existence is developing into. This evolution that's taking place before our eyes is not something that I think is good for humanity as a whole, or at least individual freedom and liberty. So my only recourse is to talk about it, and hopefully that new parents hear some of these ideas and apply them in their future parenting, and any parents that haven't, done these sort of things, and maybe they've done other things that have been quite successful. And I encourage those people who are listening to join in the chat room or the comments section and give us some of your pointers and tips on how to, through parenting, make society better, because I think that's the only place we have in making society better, because it's not going to be governments and it's not going to be society as in general. Society is degrading before our eyes, and the government is upside down, and everything's backwards, and nothing is good and wholesome anymore. And maybe as the human existence continues to evolve, we get past our good and wholesome self, and the innocence of being good is gone from the human experience. And I'm hoping that's not the case. But as we see with how society is just finding ways to split us up and to divide us into different communities, and we have no regard for the other person, the other thought pattern, anybody else's ideas that are not of our own. And I'm speaking as society in general. I feel it's like down to the family, the parenting in itself, to fix the woes of tomorrow's future. Because I don't have a good outlook. So again, hopefully, with that long monologue there, hopefully nobody takes this as an indictment of their parenting and looks at it as one person giving some constructive criticism on how to make society better. Now, with that being said, anybody who's going to be a parent, anybody who is a parent, from a layman's point of view and an outsider, I see a lot of flaws in the way that parents do their parenting. There seems to be a lack of concern from the parent in saving for a child's future, whether it would be saving for a future tuition situation where they were going to higher learning and they needed lots of money to take that next step so they could get a better career, or just saving in general so that maybe down the road a child wouldn't have to worry about looking for a house to pay for and get a mortgage because there was no money there to help them buy that first home, which, as most of us know as adults, that roof over your head is just about the most expensive thing you pay for each and every month. Unless somebody's living really extravagantly and their car is just ridiculously priced. They're living beyond their means, and that gets into how people deal with credit and all that. And again, this is societal. This seems to be systemic, not only in the people, but it's in the government, which, once it reaches the government and bleeds down into the people, we're in big trouble. Because if the government does it and the people follow suit, that's really bad, at least from my point of view. What I see with parents these days is they prefer to do different sorts of activities, some for the child's entertainment and others for the overall entertainment of themselves, maybe a family unit, whatnot. And these things cost a great deal of money. For example, there's a couple that's considering going to a foreign country to get married, costing thousands of dollars. They each have a child. I don't know what the situation on the one side is with the child, how they're set up for the future. But on the other hand, the other child, from what I can tell, because I'm fairly close to the situation, there's not even $1,000 put away in some kind of savings fund or some kind of trust for that child's future. Yet the idea of going to a foreign land, which is going to cost $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, it could cost up to $10,000. I don't have those notions of wanting to go somewhere just for the thrill of it. Oh, I've been to so-and-so. I did a lot of that when I was younger, so the idea of doing that later in life, I understand it's fun. Going places is great, but if you have young children under high school age especially, and there's no money put away for them for long term, so they can either go to college and they don't have to worry about getting a student loan that's going to end up dragging them down throughout their life. And a lot of these parents that do these sort of things have student loans, and they have loans here and they have loans here, car loans, all these notes, the IOUs, the note. That's interesting. People should look up what that note means and then look on the Federal Reserve note, and then you'll be able to tell what your money really is. But people do that, yet not save up, not put an equal amount, I would say even more than equal amount, in an account, whether it be a trust fund, a regular savings account, whatever, for that child's future, so that when that child becomes of age, they're not burdened with the worries of having a student loan or having to get a mortgage on a house, because mom and dad, which is, again, that's the thing we've mom and dad don't stay together anymore. It's a real shame. And there's a lot to blame for that. I can be truthfully honest because I came from a situation, so I have firsthand knowledge that a kid does a heck of a lot better when mom and dad are around than when one or both aren't there. Luckily, some people have other people that'll fill those roles, but overall, it's just better when mom and dad are together and the kids can grow up in a stable environment. That's a concept we've lost in general, and anybody who's considering having children in the future, especially, because we're not going to change how people act that already have kids. A lot of those people are going to take offense to this kind of conversation from a person who doesn't have kids. But I'm hoping that people take this as constructive criticism and apply a little bit of this so we can better society. And if you're not burdening your child with future student loan debt or a future mortgage because you as a parent were proactive and were able to put a little bit away each and every month. If you saved $1,000 a year for each one of your children, by the time they reach 25 years old, there'd be $25,000 at minimum, unless you put it into some weird stock or something. But if you're just putting it in a savings account that doesn't give you any money, you'd have $25,000 there to give to the kid. That could be applied to either their college fund or a home. $25,000 could go a long way into helping a person keep their overall biggest expense down so they don't fall into bigger debt and have to use credit cards for this and credit cards for that. And I don't see a lot of parents looking that far into the future. And a lot of times they're taking the kids to something so extravagantly expensive in the now that they could have done something a heck of a lot smaller, more family-based, orientated. If you want to have the family, keep it small and simple, and put that other money away into some future fund for them. You expect your kid to live beyond 20 and 25 and 30, right? You expect them to grow up, grow old, just like we all do. Yet I don't know how many parents actually put money away to help that child in the future. And I'm not talking put money in a savings account just for the family, and if they die and it gets separated. I'm talking about straight up thinking about, okay, that kid needs a college education, or that kid is going to need a house in the future. We should be saving for that, so that way they don't have to be burdened with the same things we're burdened with. Now, if you can't afford that, and you can't afford the extravagant, exciting adventures and the massive spending and all that, if you can't afford that, that's one thing. We also have the epidemic of second and now maybe heading into third generation single moms raising kids all alone. And that's something else we have to find a way to deal with. And that goes back to, and if we had more time, I'd get into it. It's real simple. And you young ladies, listen. You've got to make better choices with your men at an early age.